Now it's time for our weekly energy update with Dan McTeague, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy.
Well, thank you very much for that. And of course, we're heading into the final week of April. That means that we're only a couple of weeks away from the official launch of the summer driving season. Yes, that's a thing. It's not just summer blends of gasoline and carbon taxes and weak Canadian dollar that are going to conspire to drive up prices. U.S. demand is expected to be very strong this year, much stronger than we saw in 2023. And of course, we got a bit of a head fake throughout much of 2023 because we had governments basically trying to flood the market, the U.S. In particular, using its strategic petroleum reserve as a bit of a price control. Never meant for that. It's meant for emergencies. Hopefully we don't have one because the supply has been depleted by about 40%. That aside, we also saw markets very nervous about global recession, ignoring some of the fundamentals of supply and demand, and hanging their hats really on U.S. production. Yes, it's more efficient. They can frack a lot more, but we're now starting to see those wells in the United States under extreme stress, and that their yields are starting to fall. What that really means is that without the infrastructure that Canada could and should have built, the United States may find itself very short, especially as Venezuela isn't interested, can't do what it used to do. It's pretty much a socialist basket case. So it's not going to come to the world's rescue, even though it has the largest supplies, deposits of oil in the world. They're of course followed by Saudi Arabia, and then here, Canada. What this all means is that going forward for the next few weeks, we're going to start to see these, prices at the pumps ratcheting up. No more notable than what we've seen in British Columbia, particularly in Vancouver, the Lower Mainland, where gasoline was sold as low as $1.99.9 just a few days ago. Now heading to $2.21. Hard to say $2, but $2.21 a liter this weekend. If you look outside of that, gas prices in the rest of BC pushing up about 3 cents a liter on average this week, pushing a lot closer to the $1.80, $1.75, $1.80 threshold, despite much of their oil and all their production coming from, you got it, Alberta. Switching over to Alberta, $1.58, $1.56, $1.54. We're going to continue to see those prices remain range bound, with Saskatchewan not far behind at $1.56, and of course Manitoba at $1.43 to $1.38. I'm not seeing much upward pressure on the Chicago spot market. That's the one that's responsible for all of Western Canada. And unlike the Pacific Northwest market, so Washington State and Oregon, which tend to have an influence on gas prices in the Lower Mainland and Vancouver Island, Chicago tends to be pretty tame at this time of year, and it's not likely to really surge anytime soon, at least not until we get past the Memorial Day long weekend in the United States. The third week in May coincides, of course, with Canada's May 2-4 weekend. For Ontario, we've been in the $1.70, $1.72, $1.73 range. Gas stations here are playing a little bit of what I call gas bar shenanigans. They're increasing and then decreasing their retail margins. Traditionally, Ottawa, Kingston, Toronto, GTA started at about 8-9 cents a liter. They've gone as high as 10. Now they're back to 8 or 9. So there is some of that going back and forth. Getting a precise number isn't what we predict. We predict the wholesale price based on the markets. So the spot market for New York, I think, is likely to go up significantly over the next week. Significant in the sense that it may be a day-to-day increase, inching up 1 penny a day, as it's going to do this week. So we'll be $1.72, $1.73 by Sunday. This time next week, say $1.74 is we're likely going to wind up at. Quebec, of course, with the higher taxes, not much though anymore as it used to be, with the Canadian government's carbon tax now eating more than what the Quebec government's cap and trade. There's a difference there of about 6 cents a liter. So it's about 9 cents more. Montreal can expect to pay a little closer to $1.84, $1.85 by this time next week. Net increase of about 2 cents a liter, maybe 3. Atlantic Canada, look for prices, despite what happened in Newfoundland, where they introduced summer gasoline. They were the last ones to do it. This is probably as high as it's going to go. No big change I'm expecting in Atlantic Canada. What I am looking, though, at is diesel prices across much of North America dropping. And as a consequence, diesel, home heating fuel, and those kind of products naturally for this time of year when things get warmer, dropping a little bit. Well, we now have to look forward to is a much more expensive year. And the other side of the carbon tax equation isn't so much what the federal government's imposing, which is 17.61 cents a liter. Provinces are now larding up their own. In the case of my province, Ontario, the output-based pricing system is going to increase by 23%, and it's already taking place. That's going to have an impact on pretty much the cost of everything as industries pass that cost on to, you got it, you and I as consumers. Won't be great for inflation, and certainly may cause the Bank of Canada to think twice about dropping interest rates. That's it for this week. Back to you.
We'll be right back after this.